Good evening. Good evening. I'm used to coming on and saying good afternoon. Good afternoon. But tonight's a little special. We are having our pilot evening show. My name is Dr. James Smith Jr., and this is the Dr. James Show. And ecstatic to be here. Spent all day training with the client and said the show must go on. Let's do it in the evening. Let's pilot. Let's roll it out, and let's see what happens. And again, ecstatic because I've gotten to know our guests a little bit, and we're meeting in person for the first time. I've done my research. August 18th, 2018, I went skydiving. That's right, I jumped out of a plane, and I have not gone skydiving since. So on the Dr. James Show, I'm going skydiving, you're going skydiving. We have as our guest, Skye Michiels, who is the managing director of Compass, the Philadelphia region. Skye Michiels, welcome to the show.
I guess we're going to dive into Skye today, right?
Absolutely, diving into the Skye, that wisdom, that passion. Everything I've heard has been phenomenal. The research, like, I want to meet this guy. I want to meet this guy. And your reputation precedes you. So how do you build a reputation like that?
I don't think you necessarily build a reputation. I mean, I think anyone that has a reputation, it comes about just because of the consistency of who you are and your authenticity of who you are. Right. I mean, the guy that I was, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 20 years ago, today is the same guy that's been around. And wow. I think a little bit of a reputation comes about just because of the fact that people know they can depend on you to show up in a certain way. And that's sort of where, and good or bad, right? And luckily, my hope is I'm showing up in a good way for most people. But that's really, I think, how you build a reputation is consistency. And then obviously authenticity. Do you know what I mean?
Well, authenticity is my thing. But before I go there, you're showing up big because some of the places I've seen you've been bigger than life. Let's take a look at this 1 minute clip so everyone can know what I'm talking about. Big time. Here we go.
Compass coaching and accountability group known as the 6 a.m.ers. Started by beloved Philly sales manager, Skye Michiels. This amazing group has brought more than 4,000 like-minded agents together to start their day with a deep dose of networking and action-building ideas and inspiration from the top thinkers from in and outside our industry.
Tell us about that evening, how it felt having your larger-than-life poster picture up there, and then the camera focusing on you, but really highlighting a group that you started, the 6 a.m.
Well, first off, I didn't know that was going to happen. I knew they were going to talk about the 6 a.m.ers in the speech in some manner. And before the speech, the woman that was sitting next to me is another employee, good friends, and she's like, "Oh, I saved a seat for you. Come sit up here." I'm like, "All right, it's cool." And so when that picture flashed up, it was almost the kind of thing where you're a deer in headlights and you don't know what to do. But to be honest with you, and you always second guess, should I have stood up? Should I
milk every moment?
Yeah, that was the moment. I missed it, But to be honest with you, the thing that was really going through my head, and the reason why, I really didn't. It's not really about me. I mean, the reality of that group is that it's all about the people that join it. It's not about Skye Michiels. It's about the people that are making the decision to make their lives better and create space in their morning or in their day to focus on themselves. So I think in some ways, in hindsight, when I look back, I'm glad I didn't really plan on, I didn't know how to react, but in some ways it was representative because I shouldn't have stood up because it wasn't about me. It was about everyone, that had the 4,000 agents over the year and a half or over now 21 months now we've been doing this. that have signed up and participated in the group. That's really what that moment was about all of them having their time to be highlighted. And it was
Well, the next
definitely
time you have one of those moments, just do this.
yeah, exactly. Just flash it out. Try, you know, like I say, you start a song, be like, what do I do? I don't know what to do. So,
Tell us about this group.
yeah.
How it got started, because I believe at one point you had 5 AMers. What's the criteria for joining? What's the commitment level? What do you do? Is it organic? Is there structure?
Yeah.
What happens during this time in the morning?
So the real origin story started back in, God, it was probably 2017. And I was in the process of going through a divorce, and it was amicable. And my ex-wife and I are amazing friends and co-parents right now. Like I have a beautiful divorce now, but at the time it still was a very, very challenging moment. And a guy named Jake Dreyfus, who was one of my business partners and one of my best friends still to this day, you know, he was sort of just, I was down, right? I was in a really bad place in my life. You know, I was trying to adjust to new parenting styles, work styles, workouts, just everything was sort of swirling. And then for anyone that's ever gone through the process, even though it might be a little amicable, it's still, there's a shame level that you're going through that you feel ashamed. And now I'm at a point where I actually talk about this a lot because of the fact I really want to normalize it for people that, you know, and to be an example that it's not a death sentence. It's not a source of shame. It's actually a source of pride for me.
How long did it take you to get to that place where you could talk about it without having therapy in front of folks?
Probably a year. It takes years. You know, it took probably about 3 years to get to the point that I'm sort of at now. And but you know, at the time, back to the 2017, Jake Dreyfus just started texting me. He's like, all right, we're gonna wake up early in the morning and you're gonna go work out. And we're gonna wake up at 5 a.m. something crazy. I'm gonna text you. And you know, my background, I was a college athlete. I was on the crew team at Syracuse University, and you know, Syracuse in the house. Anyone that's an Orangeman or on a sports team, the worst thing in your life is to let a team member down. Like there's nothing worse. I will never let a team member down. And when Jake, it was almost like having a team member again. And so we started waking up early together and working out, or just texting like motivational quotes back, whatever it was, just to try to get myself moved out. And I started doing a lot better. And then we were like, well, you know what, let's send an email out to our office and see if anyone else wants to join. So we sent an email out and we had 10 agents join, and we did it for 2 months. Anyway, to make a long story short, we sort of had this little 5 a.m.er thing going for a long time. Jake moved out to Colorado. You know, we sort of stopped doing the 5 a.m.ers because it was 3 a.m. in the morning for him, and you know, everything was a little different. I transitioned into Compass, away from my former brokerage, and at the end of the day, life sort of just went on, right? Everything was good. You know, March hits 2020. And if you remember March of 2020, like it was coming to an end.
Oh yeah.
Right. And I'm sure all my 6 Ambers are sick of me telling this story. So
well, I haven't heard it yet.
You haven't heard it, so that's right. So you know, we go into lockdown, and we're doing happy hours at 4 p.m. You know, and you're home, you have nowhere to go. So it's not like you're at a happy hour, like, oh, I gotta go home. And no, you're just sitting in your house, and you're on Zooms all day, and you're trying to figure out what's going on in the world, and you're binge watching TV because you don't have to get up in the morning, and you're homeschooling kids, and you know, life is just a mess. And I was a pretty disciplined and structured person, but I just let everything go. And at the end of March of 2020, I was very frustrated. I'll make sure I keep this clean, James. I was like, forget this. Yeah, bleep it out. And I basically said, I can't control what's going out in the world. I can't control being locked down. I can't control the government. I can't control medicine. I can't control everything out there. But this 3 feet of space, I control this. And I can make decisions about what time I get up, about what I eat, about how I move, about what I consume intellectually. about how I act emotionally. And at the end of the day, that's the kind of thing I just sort of took this mindset. I took my 5 AM experience. I sent an email out to my office at Compass again. It's like deja vu. Hey, I'm doing the 6 AMers because 6 AM, 5 AM is early.
Yeah.
And I'm a night owl. So when I get, if I get to bed at 11:30, 5 AM is like, it's a really tough. 6 AM is perfect because I can go on very little sleep. And it was also the pandemic at the time too. So it's like, all right, like 5 AM is just too crazy. No one would do it. But 6 AM, a lot of people did it. And then that's really how the group got started, that we just sort of picked it up. And I follow the same model that I followed in this 5 AMers, which is we do a Zoom call on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So first off, each month you have to sign up. There's a Zoom call on Tuesdays and Thursdays. On Monday, Wednesday, Friday within Workplace, which is sort of like our internal Facebook group. I put a question of the day up, and your goal is to try to answer that at 6 AM. We read 1 book a month. So we pick a different book each month. You set 1 goal a month. And then you got to create a morning routine that works for you, that you track and follow. And that's sort of the basics of the group. And we really, James, we have 1 rule. And that rule, do you want to guess what the rule is?
That rule is be committed. Be committed.
Good one. It actually is not. It's actually to have fun.
Oh.
That's the only rule.
Oh.
There's no, once again, you're going to, life is all about like not messing up. It's about when you mess up or when you don't do something you do commit to, how do you bounce back? And when you focus it around having fun, right? Sometimes when you're too hardcore, and that can be really hardcore, when you're too hardcore, it's no longer fun. It's like a grind. If you make it fun, well, now it's like light. Harry, you know what? Like I slept in yesterday. Awesome. That was great. You know what? The next morning, I'm going to be up. And it allows you, I think, to bounce back so much faster when you're focused on having fun as your primary goal. And that's really what the group sort of has evolved into, and what I try to espouse within the group as well.
Well, when I broke into the training and development space, my mentor at the time told me that learning is directly proportional to the amount of fun you have.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you're doing it too. Now, our results-focused left brain people want to know, have your numbers going up? And our right brain, more emotional people want to know, have people reported feeling better, stress less, feeling better about themselves as a real estate professional?
Yeah. Well, so the answer to the question is yes, the numbers have gone up. This month, we crossed 1,100 people that have signed up for the month of December. And if you know anything about realtors, December is a month that most people just like, you sort of shut it down. You know what I mean? Your numbers are done for the year. And the fact that we had 1,100 realtors across the country sign up for the month of December is something I'm very proud about. So every month, it sort of stayed fairly consistent, like 800-900 people. And this month it sort of has exploded.
Are you seeing any changes in the business?
Well, it's a great question. It's hard to say. All I have is anecdotal. And actually, if any 6 AMers are on the call and you want to comment in the chat, maybe.
Oh, they're there. They're coming. Yeah. They're coming.
Anecdotally, yes, it has a massive impact on business. And here's why. When you're depleted and your energy is down, and real estate's all about how you show up to people. This is actually taken from one of our interviews, but as real estate professionals, we create memories and experiences. That's what we're selling. We're not selling houses. We work with people, but the reality is we're creating memories and experiences.
Wow.
And when you're depleted, you're drained, you're stressed, you name it, right? All that negative energy, the people you're working with, you're not creating a very positive memory or experience with those people. So it's a really, really key thing, in my opinion, to come back to, that when you wake up in the morning, the goal is not to wake up and start working. The goal is to wake up and work on, actually, I guess it is to work, but work on me, right? What can I do to make myself happier, calmer, more present, healthier? So when I get out there into the workplace, into the real estate world, I'm showing up as my best self. And when you show up as your best self, your business just takes off. So
Be your best, showing up as your best. Before I go to the questions in the chat room, you got a pretty cool name, Skye. I'm sure there's a story there growing up. I mean, the sky's the limit. I'm sure you had some fun with that name. Tell us the history of the name and how did that play a role in shaping your early years?
So I joke around that my parents were ex-hippies, but by the late 70s, the hippie era was sort of over. But it makes for a very good story when I say my parents were hippies. But they were very liberal and post hippies, growing up in the late 70s. So when I was pregnant, my mom was pregnant with me. My dad said, "Oh, like how's little Johnny doing?" And she's like, "Don't call him that. Like, what do you want to call him, Skye?" And she's like, "Yeah, call him Skye."
Wow.
So they were going to name me SKY. And then when I was born up in upstate New York, the doctor that delivered me, his heritage was Scottish from the Isle of Skye and Clan MacLeod. And anyways, so that's where my name came from, the spelling SKYE. So, and they gave me the
how
middle
about
name.
growing up with Skye?
Loved it. Yeah. You always dated, people always date themselves in the reference that they make. So like Skye Masterson was like, I think like a TV show back in the 30s. Then there's like the Guys and Dolls, and then you get into this day and age. And most people that I've met several other Skyes, and most of the time it's a female name, which is sort of fitting because I do have a nice like balance of masculine and feminine side to me. So I was raised by my mom and two sisters, and they did a great job of allowing me to become in touch with my feminine side as well. So
I love it. I think someone knows you a little better than we do. And the question is, how are you doing writing your book? Is there a book in the offing? Is there a book coming out of you? Are you giving birth to a Skye book?
Yes, and it's basically the background of the book. In essence, it's actually changed a little bit. It started out as how to run a real estate team, because there's very little information out there about how to run a real estate team. And where it's actually emerging into, it's going to absolutely contain a piece of that. But now it's actually all around like, how do you create a legacy and retire from real estate? Because there's definitely nothing out there about how do you retire from real estate. And if you know any realtors, most realtors will work until they can't work anymore, and then they stop working. And 30 years of effort and memories and experiences that they created are just sort of dissipates like dust, right? And there's a way that we can work with realtors to create legacy and create retirement out of everything they did over the years. So that's really where the book is it's going to emerge, and it's going to talk a little bit about how you form, create, run a team. But then out of that, how do you create legacy as well?
How to run a team, how to create a legacy. We saw a video where you talked about 4 strategies for developing a proven referral system. Let's take a look at that video right now where you share your 4 tips.
In order to create a really strong referral-based business, you need to be reaching out to your sphere of influence or the people that you know. And there's 4 things that I think you need to keep in mind when you're doing this. Number 1, you have to communicate with your sphere in a timely manner. If you only reach out to them once a year or twice a year, they're really going to forget who you are. Number 2, you have to provide information that is relevant to them in some manner. Now, it may not be relevant to every single person, but if I'm providing restaurant reviews about restaurants in Chicago, and the people live in Philadelphia, it's not terribly relevant to the area or who we're marketing to. So you got to really try to provide relevant information to people. Number 3, you need to provide information in varied forms. So if all you do is email, you're really going to miss a percentage of your audience because of the fact that some people don't read all their emails. And then the last thing is it has to reflect you. So you can't put a canned product out there, in my opinion, if it doesn't reflect who you are. Because the people that know you, they don't want the canned product, they want you. They want to hear your opinion and what you're about and what your thoughts are.
I love that. I love that. When I work with clients on presentation skills, I always say people want you. They can Google the data. Content used to be king. Content is now free. They want you. Engagement is king. Enthusiasm is king. Passion is king. No longer content. They want you. And I think in your interview, you highlighted that at the very end.
Yeah.
Show up. Your best.
Yep. That's it. And that's what 6 Hammers really pulls out of people too, and Compass as well. I mean,
Well,
that's
your 6 a.m.ers are lighting up the chat room. Someone says, are there any lessons you learned from your mom and dad that you carry with you today?
So the one that comes to my mind, which is it's probably a little bit of a parenting lesson, but it's a life lesson as well. And my mom, her line was "Love never killed anything," and she used it to say like, all right, like you're gonna, all the things that you're told as a parent not to do, right? Like, oh, don't let them cry, don't let them sleep in the bed, don't, right? All these things. And her line was like, listen, love never kills anything. And that's a line I'll always remember. I mean, my mom taught me so much. I mean, she was a single mom raising 3 of us. Like, she taught me the value of hard work. She taught me the value of there's not a woman on this earth that cares more than my mom. And so I think I learned a lot of my like care of people from my mom. Do you know what I mean? And watching how she interacted with people, how she treated people. Our house was always the house that every person wanted to come to because it was like that safe haven. Do you know what I mean? No matter what they had going on in their world, like our house was that safe place that they could always come to. And I think in many ways I try to espouse that in the business that I practice and my household currently, and also just in general. And people interact with me. It's almost like, can I create home just in our interaction?
I believe there's a quote that suggests they become who you be, whether that's your team, whether that's your family and colleagues, they become who you be. Have a picture of you and a couple people. I want to know, who are they becoming? I think they're your children. Let's take a look at Skye and family and talk a little bit about who they are and what they are becoming.
Yeah, it's great.
Talk to us.
That's so my daughter's Mackenzie. She's now 11. And my son is Hudson. He's now 9. So they are they're they're amazing kids. My ex actually, she had COVID just recently, and I was in Denver actually at a strategy session, and my sister immediately jumped up, like took the kids and took care of them, and then I've been watching them, and I'm just so proud of the independence that they're developing, and I'm so proud of the kindness that they are. And they're, I said to Hudson, how was it going back to school today? And he's like, I felt like I was a celebrity, like everyone was hugging me. And I was like, it was just like warmed my heart, and so, and it's an absolute pleasure just watching them grow and emerge as not adults, preteens, I guess. I mean, feels like an adult to me, I'd still imagine her like this.
Well, there's so much spirit in their eyes and love.
The smiles too.
Yeah.
The smiles like light a room up. Like they walk in a room and smile. It's like, all right.
They say some people light up a room when they walk in, and some people light up a room when they walk out.
Yeah. They're just amazing children. So I feel very, very grateful and lucky every day that I get to be their dad. And and talking about divorce as well, like if given as hard as it was, like given the option to go back, I would do all over again, exactly the way it went. Obviously I wish it would go better, but at the end of the day, I would replicate it just to be able to experience my life with them as well. So,
well, super congratulations. And I believe super congratulations will be in order next year. If this question comes to fruition, the person says, are you seriously going to climb Kilimanjaro with Big Brothers Big Sisters next year with Marcus Allen? Okay, what's up?
Talk to Marcus about that. So I was interviewing your friend Marcus on the 6 Hammers, and he said, I'm going to climb Mount Kilimanjaro. I was like, can I come? And he's like, sure. So that's where it stands. I want to hear more about it, but
be careful, because he gets it done.
Oh, I'm doing it. Oh, trust me.
Yeah.
If he's doing it, I'm doing it. There's no way I'm going to let him climb it without me. And
you have the compass. He has to follow you. What?
Hey, dude, we got it. I'll carry him up. No, I'm kidding. But it's the kind of thing. What I was really inspired by Marcus was each year he picks one thing that he's never done before, like climb a mountain, and he does it to try to raise money for Big Brothers and Big Sisters, which is phenomenal organization. So my hope is if yeah, it sounds like it's going to happen. I got to reconnect with them and find out, all right, what's our training calendar looking like? And in a related story, Jake Dreyfus and I, my friend that I said, the 5 Amers, we just signed up for something called 29029. And it's basically they take these certain mountains, and 29,000 feet is the height of Mount Everest. So in 48 hours, you got to climb up and down this mountain 13 times to equal 29,000 feet. So you climb up and then you take a ski lift down, and it's 13 times we're going to do it. So, and we're going to do it without sleeping. Like, we're going to just go.
That's
So,
beast mode. That's
yeah, it'll be good training though for Mount Kilimanjaro, hopefully.
all right. Well, you can forget my number. No, if you need another bald brother, let me know.
Let's go.
Let me know. There's a question relative to your industry, and I'd like for you to answer it a couple ways. One, answering exactly what's there, and then talk a little bit about how your business, if so, was impacted by the pandemic. So the question is, what would you say are the keys to effectively running a real estate team? And was the team impacted adversely, positively? What was the last 20 months been like for you?
Yeah. So I'll answer it backwards if that's okay.
Sure.
So the first thing I'll say is I think the pandemic, the real estate market probably saved our country in some ways. Because when the pandemic hit, obviously not right away. It hit. We are all like, all right, how on earth do you sell a house from your couch? Right? Like, and so the good thing is there's not one moment of my leadership team and my staff and my agents at Compass where anyone panicked. There's not one moment. I will always remember back where we sort of, we were sitting around. I get emotional just thinking about it. And, we look around the room and it's like, all right, let's go. What do we have to do? All right, Zoom calls. Here's our training calendar. We're going to set up virtual showings. How do we do that? We don't know. But, all right, we're going to do it.
Right.
And it just was, it was a lesson in leadership in the sense that, you never give up. And the people I'm surrounded by never give up. And I'll always remember that moment of the pandemic when the world was ending and we were just like, no, let's go. This is great. We're going to have fun. And we're going to get through this and we're going to dominate it. And in many ways, I think the real estate market really, there's never been a moment in time where home meant more to people. Never. Right. And we either learned we loved our home, which I think is a little bit of the reason why the market went up, because everyone's like, hey, I'm not going to move. So inventory level strength. But when you think about a real estate transaction, there's probably, 50 jobs that are created downstream from one real estate transaction. And the fact that we very quickly pivoted, learned how to sell real estate in a pandemic, and then excelled at it. And then the real estate market really took off. In many ways, I think it really helped our economy to sort of just give it a life jacket through that initial time frame until.
So are you guys wired differently, or is this just your team? Because a lot of people last year was pessimistic, spoiled.
Well, think about the life of an agent. I mean, if you're a real estate agent, basically all you deal with all day is rejection. You have wins for sure. You have lots of fun stuff, but at the end of the day, that's the industry is a little bit about the people that deal with rejection are the ones that excel. The people that don't deal with rejection or failure, right? And I'm not using failure in a negative way.
Sure.
I'm using failure in like, hey, we didn't win that bid. I didn't get that listing. This deal fell apart. I'm running late to that appointment, whatever it might be, right? Like, that's what we deal with all day in the real estate industry is rejection or failure. And the people that take that and just bounce back, and it doesn't even matter. I call it my bubble of happiness, right? Like, oh, I'm so happy. Like any rejection that happens, it just bounces off of me. And those are the ones that excel in business. And I don't think that's independent of real estate agents per se, but for the most part in real estate, like that's what you deal with all day is rejection. And I think in many ways with the pandemic hitting, that mindset of just bounce back. And at Compass, we have the entrepreneur principles. And one of my favorite ones is bounce back with passion. So the people that, and you saw this in other industries, right? The ones that sort of cried, woe's me, and tucked their tails, they're out of business.
Yeah.
People that said, pivot, adapt, overcome, those are the ones that are actually now thriving, and not just in real estate. We're seeing that definitely in real estate, but also in other industries. So
pivot, adapt, overcome, 360 spin.
That's it. And then let's go. And then action. And I think, so I think the pandemic in many ways helped the real estate industry. It was a very difficult market in many ways, not because the market was down, but because inventory levels were so tight. So you were literally like an emergency room doctor, like phone to go off, listing hit, clients need to see it tonight. There's 20 offers on it, we got to go. And then, so that's, I think, how the pandemic sort of impacted real estate. Then I forgot the first question.
The first part about was the keys to running a successful, compelling, lights out real estate team.
Very difficult question to answer in many ways, because of the fact that every real estate team is really run so differently. So I'll give you the first key is authenticity. And I know that's your jam, right? Yeah. But at the end of the day, if you're a leader, so let's take me. If I'm leading as like Patton, right? General Patton, if you're any history buffs, right?
Sure.
Like yelling, screaming, putting, like, let's go, like you're doing this all wrong. Like, that's not my authentic self. I lead with love and caring, kindness, like in different ways, but that's me. So the very first key is really understanding your leadership style and then acting authentically within that leadership style. And there's nothing wrong with any leadership style. Like in our leadership team, we have all different kinds of leadership styles, right? But the thing that we all share is the fact that we are all authentic in those styles. And we know who we are. So that's number one. You have to lead authentically. The second thing I would say is that you have to have a really good handle on what you want the culture of your team to be. Good. And that's why I say these are concepts, because the practicality of these concepts will change and is varied, and anyone can be successful with different techniques. So some teams may be hardcore lead generation, where they're in the office from 9 to 11, Monday through Friday, picking up the phone, calling people. Great. That's a great system if that's your culture and it's authentic to you. We ran a very, very heavy repeat referral business where it was all about creating massive amounts of value for fewer people, but having more impact, right? So rather than calling 100 people to get 3 deals, we would rather call 10 people to get 3 deals and actually take them out to lunch and go play golf or interact with them on a real, I call it humanize the business in many ways. So that's
there's a quote that I read that you said. It said, "You bring a decidedly human touch to your role, and real estate is entirely about taking care of people and putting your heart into everything you do."
All about taking care of people. And then the third thing, and I could go on and on, but I'm just going to keep it at 3. The third thing is consistency of your standards. So whatever your standards are, you got to make sure you're consistently applying those to people and to actions. So in other words, my standard is we're going to have 1 team meeting a month on the 3rd Tuesday of the month, and it's a requirement to be there. But then you have 1 agent who's consistently missing it, and you don't uphold that standard. Well, the rest of your team's looking at you like, wait a minute, I got kids at home, I got showings to do, I got a settlement, and I'm here, but that person isn't. Like, what's going on here? So you have to know what your standards are, and then you have to consistently reinforce and uphold them.
What's your approach for consistently reinforcing? Because I've seen sometimes where star performers are held to a different accountability level because of their results. And what I'm hearing you say is standard across the board, consistency, accountability.
Yep, that's it. And well, and I think the first step in that is you got to identify what the standard is.
Yeah.
Right. Like, so where most leaders struggle is where they think they're communicating clearly, but the message is not coming through very clearly on the other side. So if you got to make sure that your communication of your standards is crystal clear, understood. And the key thing here is the why behind them is clear. Because if you put a standard out and there's no why behind it, so let's just use the team meeting as an example. If you're like, you got to be at the team meeting and the agents don't understand why and there's no value, well, then it's a standard with it's just fluff. So if your why is on this meeting, we are going to hold each other accountable. We're going to motivate each other. We're going to, whatever it might be, create the why. And at the end of the day, you're never going to force people to do things for too long. You can force people to do things for a little bit of time, but you have to inspire people to do things.
I think we have a picture of you and one of your teams. What team is this? Where are we? What year?
God, this is probably 2000. It's probably 2017. This is the real estate.
It's a turning point year for you.
Yeah, it's a great year. We had just launched Keller Williams. KW Philly was a brokerage I helped launch. We were in awesome team. My sister is there in the pink on my right hand, and a whole bunch of really incredible real estate agents. And that was a good trip down memory lane for sure.
Listen, you share a few positive quotes. We pulled them, and I wanted you to speak to each one of them individually. So these are quotes that I'm attributing to you. Let's see how you can go inside and peel back the onion. The first one, I'd rather be the thermostat and not the thermometer. Talk to us about that one.
Oh man. And the thermostat is the person that's setting the tone, setting the heat, setting the pace. The thermometer just measures it. And at the end of the day, I always want to be the person that's out there setting the pace, not the person that's doing the measurement of whether hot enough or cold enough.
I love it.
It's a little bit of a funny one.
Quote number 2, here we go. Haters are my greatest elevators.
That's an old one. I haven't used that in a long time, just I'm a little more positive now at my older age. But basically, at the end of the day, when you care about what other people think, it basically just, it drags you down. So when people are sort of hating on what you're doing,
right,
and as long as it's in a positive way, like what you're doing is a positive thing, that's the thing that just buoys you up, because usually people are, hating on you because of the fact you're putting yourself out there in a really, really big way. And I don't know if you remember the Teddy Roosevelt, Man in the Arena. Brene Brown does like a great rendition of it.
Yes.
Right? I will always be in that arena. Always. I will never be in the stands. I will never criticize. I will never, ever say anything. I will always be in that arena pushing the envelope. And that's my entire life. I will plan on being in that arena. And I'm going to get bloody. I'm going to make mistakes. I'm going to do stupid things. I'm going to do great things. But I'm always going to be in the arena. So
this and more is why I wanted to interview you, why I wanted to meet you. One more quote.
Yeah. The greatest
testimony basically is how I live my life. My greatest testimony, my greatest sermon is going to be on how is how I live my life.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, like, I don't need to speak. If I'm living my life in a way that people want to be inspired by it, like, I don't need to speak. Right?
I love it.
Like your life is the sermon, right? Your actions are the sermon. You don't need to be on a pedestal or in front of a stage or, on a Zoom call even, because of the fact that the way you show up every day is the sermon, is the speech, is the way that you inspire people, frankly. So
and you do. And of course, our production team, we do our research, and when we come across a gem or a gem from the sky, we love showing it. I saw a video with you doing one of your Thankful Thursdays. I
Oh,
want to show the
man.
video, then I want you to tell us about what happened
right.
on Thankful Thursday. Let's take a look.
This is old.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. However, it's still applicable.
Yeah.
This is a special Thankful Thursday moment. Jake unfortunately had to go home to get his kids. We're actually filming this on Wednesday, and we're here with Nick.
Santanastasso. He couldn't say my last name, so I did it.
I wanted to just make it blend. But anyway, so Thankful Thursday, Nick, just so you know, it's every Thursday we put out gratitude to the world. It doesn't matter what it is, who we're thanking, it doesn't matter. So I really want to just say thank you to you for giving a really, really inspiring message and what you've accomplished and everything like that. And I just wanted to give you an opportunity to give some gratitude to whatever you feel like today as well.
Yeah. Today, I'm extremely grateful sitting, being 22 years old and being able to surround myself with these people that are, are studs in business and all the areas of life. I mean, that's how you learn, is being surrounded by people that are better than you. So for me to be 22 years old and surrounded by my tribe and these people around my life that are continuously supporting me, mentoring me, and, not saying you're the best at everything, but saying like you can do much more. That's what I'm thankful for, is that accountability group and that tribe. So that's what I'm thankful for.
That's awesome, man. I
really
really appreciate
you.
Yeah, thank you for everything. That's great.
Bam, bam, bam. Thankful Thursdays.
Yeah.
Tissue issue, man. You doing it.
Well, that was another Jake Dreyfus and my creation. I don't remember exactly where it came from. It probably came from the 5 Amber thing. And, we basically said, all right, every Thursday we're going to put a video out thanking someone. Some days we're going to interview people. Some days we're just going to put it out there, but we're going to make a commitment that every Thursday we're going to do a Thankful Thursday. And I think a lot of it stemmed from social media and there's just so much negativity within social media. It was our way of trying to just insert some positivity out there in the world. Yeah, that's an old video for sure. So brought back some memories. But I will say, on Thanksgiving, we did a 6 a.m. call on Thanksgiving, and it was one of the more emotional calls I've ever done, in the sense of people having a space where they could just express, gratitude, but also some of the challenges and struggles they were going through on that day. And that was a couple weeks ago or so that we just did that.
So speaking of gratitude and some of the struggles, you and I spoke in the green room, the Zoom green room, before we went on, but just a little bit about inclusion. And I told you how dedicated I am to talking about inclusion for the rest of my life, considering I don't think I've been a big enough advocate for it. And it sounded like that resonated with you, is what you talk about, DE&I at Compass. And speak more to that, the significance.
Yeah. So I think it's the kind of thing that we both share that ideal, and in different approaches, of course. Where obviously I consider myself a very, compassionate person, empathetic. But before the events of last year, the idea of talking about race was always an uncomfortable thing, especially being someone, a white, there is such a thing as white male privilege, right?
Right.
And in some ways, talking about it felt more awkward. And so you just kept it quiet, right? You, James, you'd be like, oh, it's a nice person. But we're just not going to talk about it, right? And the best part, and I'll always remember some of those moments, but one of my most impactful moments was a friend of mine is a sales manager in DC, Mark Pina. We're on a big Zoom call talking about how we respond, and he was just sharing, and he broke down into tears and recalled his experiences being a Black man in America. And I've, once again, it's one of those things where I try to educate myself and try to be aware, try to be empathetic, and all the things that you tried to do. But that moment was the moment that it sort of flipped into me as well, to be passionate about making sure that everyone, and this is a Compass term, it's not a Skye Michiels term, but everyone has found their place in the world. And in many ways, when you have leaders who you can't relate to, I'm not saying can't relate to as a human being, right? But can't relate to as someone that I look like, whether it's a woman, an African-American man, Asian, whatever minority group it might be, it gets challenging. I can look at all the presidents of this country and I can relate, right? Well, until Obama came in, now we have some there. And almost there with a woman in the White House or as a president, right? We're close, but at the end of the day, you know, leadership, there has to be someone in leadership that you look up to, that you say that I can relate to that person. And I want my daughter to be able to believe that she can be the president of the United States. And before even this year with, you know, our vice president, she couldn't even say, I want to be the vice president, right? She could say it, but she couldn't.
Sure.
Like I could say, I want to be the president of the United States, and I could see it, you know? And I think in many ways, the events allowed us to ask hard questions. Like, so I'm at a point now where if we wanted to have a conversation, I'd be comfortable asking you, James, about your experience in being a Black man in America, as an example. And it just, what it did, it sort of tore this, for better or worse. You know, in some ways, I think the other side, it's like we also brought to light some of the hatred that still is rampant in our country, in some ways. But in many ways, it allows us to create a deeper connection and understanding by having real conversations instead of polite conversations. Yeah. So
you're looking so poised and comfortable in that chair right now. I think I'm going to put you in the hot seat. Are you ready for the hot seat?
Bring it, man. Come on.
Yeah, bring it. I'm going to ask you a series of words. And after each word, I want you to share the first thing that comes to mind.
Okay.
This is a talk to think, not think to talk exercise.
Got it.
Let's see how well you do on the hot seat. All right?
Yeah, ready.
First word or words, 6 a.m.ers.
Love.
Leadership. You're thinking.
I know. Well, the first person that came to my mind is Robert Refkin, our CEO.
Love it. Inclusion.
Obama.
Commitment.
Skye.
Resiliency.
My mom, Nancy Foster.
Creativity.
Creativity. Teaching.
Out of the box.
Real estate.
Authenticity.
Life.
Skye.
Heart.
Future.
I can't freaking wait. I almost slipped.
You are off the hot seat. You are off the hot seat. I know you are the dream whisperer. You dream big. Are you going to change some of those dreams once your 2 children are grown and out the house? I mean, what do you got planned?
I have no idea, and I love it. I love it. My plan is to have so much fun and surround myself with so many people that I love and care about, and to have adventures, and just really probably continue doing what I'm doing in many ways, in the sense of I just want to inspire and have impact. So
inspire and have impact. One of your 6 a.m.ers said, our 6 a.m.ers book of the month is The Gifts of Imperfection.
Yeah.
Perhaps Skye can elaborate on this and other books he has chosen for the group.
Well, this book changed my life. I mean, so it's a 100-page read. It's from Brene Brown. It's unbelievable how impactful that 100 pages is. And in many ways, it really speaks to authenticity. It really speaks to this shame cycle that a lot of people go through, that I was going through.
Yeah.
You know, I was going through the divorce for sure. Because you feel like a failure, right? Like you look around on Instagram or Facebook and you see these beautiful photos of families. And the book really, really taught me a lot about how to be authentic to me and how to embrace, instead of embracing who I thought I should be, embracing who I am. You know, and that's that book, The Gifts of Imperfection. Like, it is such a powerful, powerful read. But we've read some just, I mean, amazing books, and I have a lot of them up here. But
well, I'll be getting that one. I'm a Brene Brown fan, and of course, I love authenticity. So
easy read, easy read. Compound Effect. That's another just amazing book. You know, all about doing little things. We're going to reread that actually in January. For all of the 6 hours that are on the call, that's going to be our January book. The Infinite Game by Simon Sinek, all about like,
yes.
And I was at a training once and they said this, but we're climbing a mountain with no top, like that ideal behind the companies that are playing a finite game, like, hey, we're going to compare ourselves to other companies. You know, that's not the game. Like, I want to be playing an infinite game where I'm only focused on what we're doing. Right.
That's why when people say, I want to go to the next level, like, what? That's it? You want to stop there? The next level?
No level.
No level. Skye, someone in the chat room says, what does as is mean to you?
Once again, a lot of these things, the best part about the 6 Hammers is how much I've learned in the last 21 months from the people I've interviewed. And one of my dear friends, Lance Pendleton, we did an interview and he really flipped it on me. He interviewed me a little bit, and as is means just, I am where I am right now. I am enough. I am great. No matter what I didn't get to, no matter who I didn't call back, no matter what email I didn't reply back to, no matter what workout I might not have done, I'm good enough as is.
I love it.
And it's all about how to be happy right here in this moment.
And speaking of this moment, your team is out there because they're giving me these easy questions and pulling at your heartstrings, creating issues. The question is, Eliza, your sister, what does she mean to you?
God, you can't ask that. It's you ever have that person in your life that no matter what is going down, like, they have your back?
Yeah.
No matter what.
Yeah.
Like, and you know, she's probably the one person in my life too that will always give me her opinion. I mean, I like it. Most people are, you know, I can talk nonstop and I'm pretty confident in my opinion, and you know, but Eliza will always put me back in my place. And when I look at, you know, obviously there's many people in my life that have had an impact, but she's had a massive impact on my life. She entered my business in 2013, absolutely revolutionized what I did as a business person. She's been there through thick and thin. She's just been, you know, one of the rocks of my life. And I have another sister, Alethea, as well, who's also, and everyone knows Eliza just because we live in the same city and run in the same circles. But my older sister, Alethea, as well, you know, she was always the one that like took care of us. Like, it was the three of us. You know, we operated as like a team, and I'm the middle child. So they called me the prince.
The three legs to the stool.
Yeah. So my older sister, Alethea, was always the one, still is the one that, you know, always is just another rock in my life. And, you know, it's just been along, you know, with my mom. So it's, I've been very, very blessed to be surrounded by just extremely strong women. And I only hope that my daughter grows up to be like her aunt and my mom. So
when you talk about the rocks to your life, you moved to the city of Rocky. What brought you to Philly? You're upstate New York, Syracuse. How did you get here?
So I was a teacher, and so I graduated I grew up in upstate New York, graduated from Syracuse. And I actually got my master's degree because I got a grad assistant position. So I stayed, just knocked it out. I was like, in my head, I was going to be a teacher the rest of my life. Like, that's what I went to college for. That's what I love to do. And I remember, there it is, the orange. I bleed orange. And
hold on. You bleed some green too, because I saw a picture of you, and I believe one of your favorite football players, if not your favorite. Let's take a look.
Better be Dawkins. There it is.
There you go.
I played football. I played free safety. So
really?
Yeah, I have his. I mean, he's by far my favorite football player of all time. But I became an Eagles fan actually because McNabb went to Syracuse. He was there all 4 years I was there, and then he came. But I came to Philly because I wanted to live in a city but work in the suburbs as a teacher. So Philly, Boston, DC were the three, and I wanted to be in like the Northeast, like able to get home pretty easily. And so those are the three options, and it sounds like I planned it out. But then three of my teammates got jobs in Philly, so I was like, oh, I'm going to Philly. I didn't have a job. I didn't have anything. You know, I just moved to Philly to really be with my teammates. And luckily I got a great job in Harvard High School. Had some great memories out there as well. But yeah, I played free safety in high school, started varsity all 3 years. But Dawkins is this guy that just, he embodies everything I think leadership is about, everything passion is about, drive. I mean, and no one played the game like Brian Dawkins.
No.
No one. So
This time has flown by. I can't believe we're just about at the finish line. I'm going to do something with you that I do with all our guests. And I think you come a little more equipped because you're well read, well versed, you're motivational. And that is, we want you to look in the camera, come a little closer, and give a 30-second motivational keynote talk. 30 seconds, 60 seconds, but you're looking at that camera. You know the year is winding down. People are looking to finish strong. They're thinking about 2022. And right now, they get a chance to hear Skye Michiels. Mic check, mic check. What do you have for us?
and I'm not allowed to curse, right? Well, 2021 has been a phenomenal year. We've struggled, we've worked, we've driven, we've gone all out in this year. And 2022 is going to be even better. It's going to be more of a grind. It's going to be more work. It's going to be more fun. And everything we do in 2022 is going to be all about bringing it and having more impact. And I just cannot wait to just experience everything that this year is going to bring for us. And it's going to be so delicious. It's so fun. And it's going to be so hard. And I cannot wait. And I think we had Marcus Allen on at some point. I can't wait to climb a mountain.
You know,
I don't know how I did there. I was a little
I'm beginning to have some thoughts about that mountain climbing. I at least might be there to take pictures.
It's hard to do that without cursing, by the way. So
All right.
Just kidding.
Skye, personally and or professionally, what's your immediate what's next? Personally or professionally, your immediate what's next?
Personally, I want to continue. I'm on a really great health kick, and I want to actually like take it up a notch. Meaning, I really want to get into diet. I'm very into exercise right now, but I want to even take it further. I want to really understand also like the things I put in my body, like how to, I'm in my head, I'm 29, but I'm 44 right now. And I want to go harder now than I was going in my 20s. And I know I got to be really dialed in when it comes to this physical space that I'm occupying. So on a personal level, I want to go into a little bit of a real big health kick and a health journey in the next year, where, like I said, I eat fairly healthy and I exercise a lot, but I really want to dive into it hardcore. I want to get into because I sleep horrible. I don't get a lot of sleep. Stretching, yoga, mindfulness, diet, right? I want to get this body into a place where I can beat 25-year-olds in the gym, right? And that's like my mindset right now is like, I just want that.
I just want to be 44-year-olds in the gym.
On a professional level, I want to have impact across this country with Encompass. We are at a company that is just poised at a level of greatness that gets me beyond excited. And I feel through the 6 Hammers, I've been able to meet people across the country. And we have some of the most talented sales managers and leaders and staff members that I've ever experienced in real estate. And if I can continue to have impact nationally, that's sort of where I want to go from a professional standpoint, is to be able to impact tens of thousands of agents across this country in ways that are seen and unseen in Compass. So,
well, let us know how we can help. We would love to help out the Compass team in whatever capacity you deem appropriate.
I appreciate this time.
Susan, Skye, you are a teacher, a motivator, a mentor, and most of all, a blessing to so many. Thank you for sharing your light and your energy and your positivity. What a way to wrap up the show. That was a mic drop.
There you go.
Skye, everyone was right. The research was right. You took us beyond the sky. Thank you for your wisdom. Thank you for your humor. Thank you for your authenticity. And thank you for your 6 a.m. spirit. I'm sure others will want to replicate that because it's working. It's
Excellent.
working.
I
And for
appreciate
those of you who joined us, thank you. Come back next week, next Tuesday, back at our original time at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Tuesday. We'll see how the rest of the year goes. And why don't you put in your survey comments, is 7 o'clock p.m. a good time for you, or do you prefer that we do the midday show? Again, we always promise an informational and transformational experience, and Skye took us there. You take care, and don't forget, you were just gem-packed.